You're listening to international investment advisor Doug Goldstein on the Goldstein on Gelt show, the financial show where we'll talk about how you can make the most of your money. With all the confusing financial chatter bombarding you each and every day, Goldstein on Gelt will give you the practical information you want and need about living a financially stable life. Here's your host, money maven Doug Goldstein.
Okay, we are back. We are talking to Allan Lonz, who is the president of AdvisorVault. Allan created AdvisorVault several years ago as a remote backup company, and the motto of the company is that it is designed to bridge the gap between technology and compliance. So, Allan, I'd like to welcome you to the show and ask you to explain what does it mean to bridge the gap between technology and compliance?
Yeah, hi, Doug. Well, thanks for having me on here, first of all. It's a real pleasure talking to you. But what AdvisorVault was created is that financial firms have a real challenge with data compliance, and it's increasing because technology is just becoming more popular now. But you generally have the compliance officer on one side of a firm, and then you have the technology on the other side. And what AdvisorVault does is make sure that they're both working together to achieve the data compliance regulation from specifically SEC and FINRA.
Mm-hmm. What sort of compliance issues are we talking about?
We're talking about the proper backup and archiving and retention of data, which could include emails, the books and records, which can contain databases and even just simple Excel documents containing records of files. So those are critical data that companies have to make sure they're backing up and retaining properly in the event of an audit or a disaster. If a system goes down, they need to recover this data quickly to keep customers, to keep clients doing their business.
Mm-hmm. A lot of companies just often scan, they'll scan all their documents. Maybe they'll send the physical documents off-site, and they'll keep a DVD or a copy on another place. Is that enough?
Well, they can definitely do that. And small firms are doing that. They're scanning documents, they're making electronic documents, they're storing them on CDs and DVDs, but you have to understand the exact meaning of Rule 17A4 from FINRA. There's a stipulation called the designated third-party provider. And it makes perfect sense in that FINRA wants financial firms to have a third party to take possession of their data, to get a copy of their data. So firms can definitely back up the data in-house, copy the CDs and DVDs, but they got to take an extra step and assign a third party who will physically take those CDs and keep them.
Mm-hmm. Doesn't that present some sort of security risk in terms of for the clients to have their information sent to some third party that they don't necessarily know?
Well, traditionally it has been, because if a company simply copies data to a CD or DVD and hands it to someone, it's not encrypted. Anyone can take that CD or DVD, put it in their computer, and open it up. So if a company contracts it with their provider, they pick up those CDs and it falls off the back of the truck. Mm-hmm. It's very insecure.
All right. And how do you deal with that problem?
Well, of course, technology came to the rescue, and firms were doing that. They were doing that for many years. Iron Mountain is a great big company that works with large firms that back up to tape. Iron Mountain would come in every day, take these tapes, and there's a lot of horror stories where Iron Mountain literally fell off the truck, these tapes. And people could grab these tapes, put them in a computer, and load them. So remote backup came to the rescue in that instead of backing up data to tape internally and using systems, use a provider, a remote backup provider, like AdvisorVault, who installs a piece of software on your systems. Then that software runs. First of all, it encrypts the data. Then it transfers it through the internet to the provider's data centers. Takes a copy of it. So the whole process of making copies of data, putting on CDs, disks, and shipping it out is all gone. The remote backup provider software goes in, takes your data, transfers it, encrypted to their system. So you're killing 3 or 4 birds with one stone by using a remote backup provider.
So if it all goes over the internet, a lot of people compare sending information over the internet to sending a postcard. And I understand that it's encrypted, but isn't there sort of a limit to how much protection that can offer?
What they're talking about is emails. In particular, when they say it's like sending a postcard, they are right. If you send an email, in general, your email is completely unencrypted. But a remote backup provider is not sending emails. The software sitting at the customer's location that does the actual backup encrypts the data at the highest level. I mean, we use 256-bit AES encryption, which is extremely hard to crack. Mm-hmm. So we grab that data. Even all customers' emails and data gets encrypted first, then transferred to us. So in our case, no, it's not like a postcard.
Okay. We are talking to Allan Lonz, who's the president of a company called AdvisorVault. AdvisorVault doesn't really work with individual investors, but works with investment companies. And in fact, my day job is that I'm an investment advisor, and we have, as an investment advisor, licensed both in the U.S. and in Israel, we have requirements by FINRA, which is the oversight body of the brokerage industry, to protect customer data. So Allan's been talking to us about how his company deals with that, but other than helping the brokerage firms who are required to do this, what does this all mean for the clients at the end of the day? How does it make a difference to them? Do they feel anything when you're involved?
The clients of our customers?
Well, let's say the clients of your customers, the clients of the brokerage firms. Do they have any? Does it matter to a regular guy in the street who's got his brokerage account that you're somehow working behind the scenes?
Most definitely, because the customers I work with, the broker-dealers, investment advisors, they're audited on a regular basis. And they're given a pass or a fail. If they're given a fail for an audit relating to data archiving, data storage, the customers can potentially become aware of that. And they will see that the companies they're dealing with their investments are not passing basic audits. Mm-hmm. And that would be a huge deal. That would kill customers' confidence.
I see. So it's almost a marketing tool for a brokerage firm or investment advisor to say, we have AdvisorVault backing up all of your data?
Yeah, and we make sure we're compliant. Not only that, but our audits go through a lot quicker. We don't spend so much time auditing because auditors come in and see that AdvisorVault's doing what it's doing, and they're out the door quicker.
That must be a pleasure for the presidents of the brokerage firms. So just describe to me a little more. When you say compliant, what are some of the issues that brokerage firms have to really be compliant about? Use the term compliant in respect to a compliant backup. What sort of compliance issues are brokerage firms really required to worry about?
Well, when you say the word compliance is a massive word. Compliance can mean compliance as in keeping your employees educated, compliance as in making sure you're not promoting fraud. I'm talking about data compliance. I'm talking about a section of compliance called data compliance. And for our customers, what it means is again, making sure you treat your data the way it should be treated, as in keeping it for the required amount of time, making it available during audits. If there's a disaster, if your office gets destroyed, you need to get that data back quickly for your customers to continue doing their trades, continue accessing your data. That's really what it means.
I see. What about the oversight of emails that's required on brokerage firms?
What they need to do with email, and that's a compliance rule that's been around for a while. It's been pretty very well defined, and it's quite simple to do actually. To be email compliant is very simple, because most companies have an internal email system, and they have employees on that system. They have Joe at jonesfinancial.com, Peter at jonesfinancial.com. They can say, this is your corporate email address. We're going to monitor it. Mm-hmm. This is the only email address you're going to use. Then if they have a corporate email system, email systems today are very robust. You simply forward a copy of that email system to a provider like AdvisorVault. We simply take a copy of it. We keep that copy for 7 years, mm-hmm. and we provide customers with an interface where they can search those emails at any time on any criteria. So an auditor comes in and says, we want to see Peter's emails from 2 years ago, what he was doing a deal with Smith Company. You pull them all up. You can hand them to the auditors. You can download them, copy them to any kind of media, copy them to a CD or DVD, give them to auditors.
I see. And there's no way for your clients to go in and change the emails once it's been sent to you?
No. Once we have it, it gets saved on what's called a worm disk, a non-writable disk. And that's why you have to do it, because on the corporate email system, yes, they can be changed. They can go in to their account and delete all their emails. But we take a copy of it before it gets to the corporate email system. Store it on our system, on non-rewritable, and they're done. And it's quite simple. The big challenge we're having today now is social media. That whole process I just explained to you with email archiving now has to be applied to advisors and reps who are now communicating with customers on Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter. That whole process has to be applied now.
I see. So do you have an interface with Facebook where before the advisor can write a Facebook entry, it's saved by your system?
You know, we just put in place a solution where, and this is basically how it works. The compliance officer will have a web interface, which we provide to them. And if Peter and Joe and John, advisors, want to create a Facebook page, they give the compliance officer their Facebook credentials, their username, their password. The compliance officer puts that in the interface. They can have their Facebook, their LinkedIn, their Twitter, any blogs. And this interface then has APIs, has an interface, a connection to Facebook, Twitter. And anytime that advisor posts anything, it gets drawn into this database. And now the compliance officers can pick up, do a search, and see what's going on. They can search a keyword. Maybe they're working on a deal. They want to know, have they been promoting this deal on Facebook? This interface allows them to see all that.
I see. And also to see if the advisor has been doing something wrong, if he's been saying the wrong things.
Well, it would probably relate to if there's an audit being done. And they want to prove, or if auditors want to prove or disprove something, or a company wants to prove or disprove something about a deal, then you can, if there's keywords relating to the deal about what they said and who they were dealing with, you can search through all this and say, no, that wasn't said. Well, there's no proof that was said. So you can cover all bases with that. And it's also to protect the firms themselves from auditors to say, no, we didn't do that. That's not true. That was a rumor, or that was a lie, or that was a misrepresentation. So we help them. We help them pass audits and improve themselves.
I see. It sounds like a very robust and intricate system. We've been talking to Allan Lonz, who's the president of AdvisorVault. Allan, just in the last few seconds, could you tell people how could they learn more about the work that your company does?
Well, our site, advisorvault.org, you can contact us through there. You can easily, through there, there's a very detailed presentation that tells all about the solution. There's many white papers, articles that you can download from there that talk about specific regulations and how you can accomplish it, and what it means to your business with data compliance in today's regulation.
Okay, Allan Lonz from AdvisorVault, thanks so much for your time.
Well, thanks, Doug. It was my pleasure.
Take care.
Bye, Doug.
You've been listening to the Goldstein on Gelt Show with money maven Doug Goldstein. Doug's weekly radio show is heard around the world, but if you miss it, you can download the podcast at www.goldsteinongelt.com. The Goldstein on Gelt Show gives you up-to-date financial ideas so you can get on the path to financial freedom. If you'd like your questions answered on the air or off, send Doug an email to doug@profile-financial.com. It's your money for your future, so join Doug every week to build your wealth on the Goldstein on Gelt Show.